Have you had it happen? You create characters with intricate face paint or makeup that look amazing, but they do have some downsides. Having to apply it groggily every morning of a LARP can take quite a while, and with the little amount of sleep, it might not end up very neat on the last day. And those 3 to 4 AMs where you finally manage to get out of that deep conversation and drag yourself to bed, you look into the mirror and realize you still have to remove that stuff or it will be a mess the next morning. Not to mention the state of your pillow. Yeah. So when I had an idea for a makeup concept for my character, I decided to see how easy I could make the application, and even better, is it possible to only apply it on the first day and leave it nearly untouched the rest of the weekend? I can tell you, it is indeed possible. So what is it that we will be making? My sci-fi character is getting a symbiont the next event. This is an implant of a small creature that merges with you and gives you some skills. My idea is to make it a super obvious one. I do like me a bit of transhumanism, and well, this is the first step, so let's fully show it, veins and all. I recently came across this wool in my stash. I think it looks rather cool and will work pretty well for the vein idea. With that wool, I already made some sort of mock-up, and I think this works pretty well as a base. Aside from that, I have renewed my love for glow-in-the-dark stuff, so I ordered some blue glow powder, and let's see how well it works. So without further ado, let's get prostheticing. So today is experimenting day, well, let's just try some things and see how it works. First of all, we're going to be working with latex. A really nice way to be able to reuse your brushes when you're working with latex is just to add a drop of dishwashing liquid. This way we can actually clean our brush after we're done and we can reuse it. There are a few different things that I want to try for this, and most have to do with how well the glow-in-the-dark powder works. Should I put it in the latex, on top of the latex? Also, yes, my latex is old and not really usable anymore. Let's see, I think I'm first just going to draw some lines with the latex. Now, what is the best way to apply this powder without it going everywhere? Yeah, you know what, let's just try something. I have no idea if that was enough, but we'll see about that tonight. Then the wool can be put on the latex. Done with test 1. I tried 2 other things to see what eventually looks the coolest. What happens when you put another latex layer over the fluffy wool and sprinkle powder over it? And the third, where I mixed the powder into the latex before working with it. I also figured out the best way to apply the powder is to grab a clean brush, dip that in the bag of powder and then tap it onto the latex. Then we can leave it to dry and charge in the sun. Aside from just the veins, I want it to be slightly creepy when people look at me, talk to me, and what better way to do that is than to have 2 slightly different eye colors, although this is a bit more than slightly. So I am an absolute mess with putting in lenses, so this is something that I definitely wanted to try beforehand, and try 3 or 4, I think I got it in. But it is definitely good that I'm doing this test because I do see the lens with my eye when I look through it. But yeah, I think it does look really cool and it adds that slightly creepiness that I was looking for. I am going to wear this lens for the rest of the day to see if it gives me a headache because I see weird, or if I can actually forget that the lens is there and not see the blue circle at all anymore. Maybe I should not forget about it too much and talk to the neighbors or something, but oh well, just LARPer things. The latex had dried by then, so be amazed by how cool this looks. Yup, this will definitely work. Then, for the most charming bit ever, making a template of my face. It doesn't need to look fancy, I just need to know where everything is located and how much area we have to work with. With this, we can start on the actual prosthetic part. I sketched something on the paper that I think looks cool, and when we make it, we can see which lines do and which lines don't work. I didn't make it too intricate, as leaving gaps between the latex will make sure it can move more with my face, leaving less chance of it peeling off during the day. With the mock-up, I jokingly tied it to my ear piercing, but I might actually keep it that way. It's a good method to have it lead away from my face, and that way I can hide the end of the thread in the fold of my helix. When the sketch was done, I put it inside the plastic folder again and pre-cut a few threads to lengths that might come in useful. Then the brush was once again coated in dishwashing liquid. The latex was properly sprinkled with glow powder and the prosthetic put together. I decided to start with the longest continuous line and then work my way down from there. I did end up using a few less lines than I had drawn, or it would have become very cluttered. The latex was then left to dry and charge again. This time it could use a bit more glow, so some extra powder was applied to specific spots. I also quite liked the trial with the latex over the wool, to make it slightly less super fluffy. So, more latex, of course with more glow powder, was brushed on top. One important tip I can give you with latex prosthetics is that it sticks to itself very well, especially if fresh. So, once it dries, lightly brush some talcum powder on top before removing it from the plastic. Then, bit by bit, peel the prosthetic from the plastic and apply the talcum powder to the bit you just peeled off. To make sure I can make the exact same prosthetic again if needed, I updated the drawing underneath by erasing all the lines that weren't used. Because I don't feel like painting my face every single day, I'm going to use alcohol paint for this. I double checked this with multiple people. It should be okay to have alcohol paint, paint it on one day and just leave it on the entire weekend. So I bought this palette a while back. It unfortunately does not have the dark blue that I want to use for the veins. I can't return this and this stuff is kind of expensive. So we'll just use these colors for now. To activate this kind of paint you need, well, of course, alcohol. Quite a high percentage of alcohol. You don't need a lot of alcohol, just a tiny bit is already more than plenty to activate it. I'm still new to alcohol paint, so I'm still learning and trying to figure it out, so I might not do it perfectly, but for now I'm going to put plenty of alcohol on the color that I want to use. Wait till it's soaked in a tiny bit, and then we can start painting. And yes, this paint is very faint compared to, well, what I would call regular paint or what I'm used to. But I find that quite nice actually, because this way it really looks like it's in or under the skin. Actually works really well for what I want. Let me try another color and see how well that works. I think I like it. Especially if you start to combine the colors, it starts to look really weird. And that's kind of what I'm going for. So let me show you why I want to use alcohol paint. This has pretty much dried right now and I can even rub over it with quite a bit of force. Still stays where it is. I can even wet it with some water. Still stays where it is. But if you add water and soap, you can take it off without problem. And that's the nice thing about this. I have tried sleeping with these paints before and they stayed on. I think that works really well for what we want, and I think I might actually use this more often in my LARP applications. And with those tests done, we can do a test fit. The latex was still a bit sticky of itself, so I didn't need to use any extra glue to have it stick to my face for now. I put it in place and threaded it through my piercing. Not going to cut it off yet, but you can get an idea of how I eventually want to hide it. Because this is the perfect moment for it, I didn't only try the purple, but also the green. And yup, I think that works. The painted veins are subtle, but they do add that tiny bit extra. And yup, even in the dark, I'm very much liking what I'm seeing. To take it off, we can peel the latex bits away, apply some face wash to a damp washcloth, and rub off the alcohol paint. With the prosthetic taken off and my face squeaky clean, there is only one thing that remains before I can actually wear this entire thing to the event. And that is to make a decision about the lens. The very short conclusion is, I've worn it an entire day, I don't have a headache. Yes, I do notice it's there. I have the blue ring around my vision, and when there's a bright light shining on me, it's as if there is something in front of my eye, as if my glasses are really dirty. And this time they're not actually that dirty, so it's not the glasses. All in all, I do think it looks cooler than the inconveniences I have from it. So you know what? Let's just try it. Then it was time for the event. The ceremony in which the symbiont was merged took place on a Saturday afternoon, and it was definitely a super cool bit of emotional LARP. And with these temperatures, getting water dunked over me was very welcome as well. But after that, it was time to apply the prosthetic. First I put in the lens. After that, it was as simple as applying mastics to the first bit of the prosthetic, glue that to my face, and then bit by bit glue on the other veins. As mastics dries pretty quickly, you don't want to put it on everything at once, as that might take too long and then it won't stick as well anymore. Then the tail end was tied to my piercing, the excess cut off, and the end glued to the inside of the ridge with a tiny dab of mastics as well. And lastly, paint on the veins with the alcohol paint. Applying all of this took roughly 15 minutes, but it should be the only time this weekend this has to be done. In the end, the veins are very subtly there, but I absolutely love how it looks. Time for the rest of the day. It was an absolute blast, and the way the prosthetic looks was very well received. But how does it hold up after a night of sleep? The answer is, pretty well. This was right after getting out of bed. Some of the end bits have to be re-glued, but that can be done very quickly. All in all, I am super happy with the way this turned out. It was a nice little project to do, and getting back into relatively simple special effects makeup is always fun. I hope this was informative and might lead to some nice ideas for your own cool makeup applications in LARP. If you'd like to see more behind the scenes stuff and background information, you can visit my Ko-Fi, where you can also leave a small donation to fuel my crafting addiction. And with that, thank you all for watching, and see you next time.